Welcome, everybody. Come on in. Welcome to this info call for our 2026 intuitive training program. We are going to go over the entire program, the logistics of it, the energy of it, what we expect of you, what you'll get out of it, the whole arc and journey, maybe some of our own personal experiences with it. Jade is here. Maybe she'll want to share. She's been through the program. She's one of our teachers now. And we'll field any and all questions that you have, and we'll try to keep it. We will keep it under an hour. And so, if you are interested in doing the intuitive training, or you already signed up and you just want to know more, this is the place. So it's good to be here. And I'm just joking, Cody. It's good to see you as always.
Good to see you, David.
Yeah. And welcome, everyone. It's good to see. I think we have about 60 people signed up for this call. So I know a lot of you are going to also be on download. And if you have questions when you watch the recording, just email us with any of your questions. Yeah. So, Cody, maybe we could start by just going over the broad strokes of what the energy is of the intuitive training. I know me and you did a podcast recently, a live pod class on the topic. I think that was last month where we went over it. Maybe we could, if someone was to ask you, can you describe the intuitive training? If they have no idea what it is, how would you frame it?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think it's probably, there's maybe two aspects to it that I might highlight. So one is just gaining the energy tools that we can use in meditation and self-healing and learning to work with energy. And the other aspect is once we kind of move into that place where the energy, where we can work with energy tools and we have energy awareness, is starting to learn how to read energy. So very often, as we move into meditation or we move into a place to connect with energy, we start to see it. But what is that next step of how do we read energy? How do we make sense of what we're seeing? And then what can we do to work with energy? So we cover a lot of topics about working energy within our own universe from a meditative self-healing standpoint, and then learning how to see and read the energies we encounter in the world, and ultimately reading other people as we progress throughout the year.
Which is the scariest part for everybody.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah.
And so I think we'll spend some time discussing what that looks like and how we navigate that, especially over Zoom, because obviously when I did my
Yes.
training, it was in person and your training
In
was
person.
in person.
Which is even more scary.
Yeah, somebody can
You're
bite
in the same room with the person.
you never want to get a biter. At least on Zoom, you can just turn it off.
Yeah.
But we'll get to this in a bit. But I will just say I've found no difference in reading a person through Zoom or on the phone versus in person in terms of clarity of seeing who they are and their energy. I've never found distance makes any difference, and in some ways,
No.
it's almost easier because you're not so enamored with whatever the energy of the person's body and is in that moment. Like maybe they come in intense or whatever it is. There's no physical component or as much, and so which can be distracting. You're just kind of looking at the person as a spirit, and so I actually. In a lot of ways, appreciate that. But before we jump into all of that, I do want to say that I've taken a gazillion spiritual trainings over my life: Reiki 1, 2, 3, 10, pranic healing, all sorts of different Vedantic and Zen and Vipassana and on and on. So many different kinds
Tantra.
of Tantra. You mean a master? I got my master's in that, and
Okay.
and so I've done so many trainings, but this training when I did it in my early 20s, mid 20s, I think I was 24 when I started, was always the most profound for me and life changing, and that's why I still do it and teach it to this day. It was I always felt that it was the most encompassing kind of spiritual training, not just energy reading. That's just a part of it. It's we read energy because it strengthens our abilities to be able to see and to gain clarity in our own answers and to work through energy. But I just found it as a spiritual training, like an all around training, it was always the most profound. Learning about the energy centers, about the energy field, about grounding, about releasing, about astral travel, about the third eye, all, about releasing pain, about what it means to be a soul in a body, kind of all of those things that it encompasses. And reading is just the way that we interact and experience all of that energy. And it was a lot more than I expected it to be. So I always tell people I think it's the most badass spiritual training in the world that I know of, and also non-dogmatic, very practical, a lot of meditating, and you really come out the other side as a different person with a level of spiritual literacy. I think that's hard to get anywhere else because it seems like we just pick up little pieces everywhere we go. And I think this training, your teacher Lewis, who created it, did a really good job of structuring it and building a set of tools that create just a really, really good foundation for doing this kind of work in the body and in a very safe way. Because I found so many kind of spiritual trainings out there in groups, it just feels very ungrounded, unsafe, out of body. People end up just kind of losing their identity or themselves instead of finding it or creating a new one, like it's like a spiritual egoic identity instead of finding out who they are. And so I don't know, this has always been the most profound one for me. And I think it's the only reason I still teach it is because I feel almost selfish if I don't. Like I got it and then no one else gets it. So yeah.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that makes this training profound in my mind is how much it's really centered around an experiential experience of using the tools, working as an energy worker, not so much the intellectual side. So it's all how to get into the energy level and the space to access this awareness that we might call intuitive awareness or energy awareness, and then work with those kind of abilities that are found in that space. So moving energy, healing ourselves, changing perspectives, and learning how to kind of set energy. So it's kind of in that arena of, recognizing that everything's energy and then really learning how to change energy to create change in ourselves and in the world.
I will say, your daughter, I remember when she was like 10 or however old she was, she started doing healing work with us when we would do things in person in Hawaii.
In Hawaii, yeah.
Yeah, she's been doing this work her whole life. Now she's mid-20s, and she turned out pretty solid despite, I mean, no, I'm just kidding. To start at such a young age is amazing. So maybe we can go over some of the structure of the training and then open it up. I think maybe we could ask Jade to share and then open it up for questions. So let's start with some of the structure because I know that a lot of you have some logistical questions. So there's 4 levels. It's 12 months. We teach every week. I think we'll take some breaks for holidays and stuff like that. And we're going to have me and Cody teaching, and we have a whole team of teachers. After level 1, we'll start bringing in other teachers to co-teach with us or sometimes teach some classes. We have an amazing group of teachers, many of whom I've been teaching with for 15 years or more. I've been working with them. A lot of them were in training with me in Hawaii or there before I was, when I was at the school there. And it's so cool to still kind of have this cohort of teachers. And so me and Cody are going to start by teaching level 1 every week. We're going to be teaching from 12 to 2 Pacific, I believe. So it's a 2-hour class. And then on Thursdays every week, there's going to be a practicum with another teacher from the Energy Matters Academy, and that's 1 hour. Um, in level one, if you can't make it live, we always say that's okay to, watch the recordings. But when we get to, if you decide to take level two and beyond, that's where we start doing readings on each other. You have to come live. Obviously, if you miss a class here and there, it's fine. We all do. Watch the recording. But because we're going to be trading, that's not something you can do on your own, and that's a big part of the training. So some people will just take level one, they'll learn a bunch of the tools, and we can go over some of those tools, and then that's good for them. And for those who want to learn how to read energy and go deeper, levels 2 through 4 is where we start to really do that reading work. And so in level one, twice a week, which is a big ask, I know, for people who are so busy these days, but we don't like to skimp out on the training. We want everyone to get as much as they need to really grow through this and come out the other side like a really grounded energy worker. And that's what we find it takes. So 2 hours on Tuesdays, 1 hour on Thursdays. And then starting in level two, instead of having a practicum, we have what's called a reading space, which is also 2 hours. And we have two of them, Thursday nights and Sunday mornings, I believe, Pacific time. And you can go to one or you can go to both, which is cool. It's up to you. And in that space, you'll learn how to practice. You'll practice doing readings, and there's going to be a teacher there. And we often read in groups, what we call lines, maybe 2 or 3 people together, so you don't have to feel like you're put on the spot in the very beginning. And we very gently and in a very kind of intentional way walk you through the steps of how to read, so you feel like there's a good scaffolding there. And so we've got those at least twice a week for the whole training. And then on top of that, every month we ask that you meet with one of our teachers to do a 30-minute, what we call energy check. So that is where you'll kind of receive a reading from one of our teachers on your tools. So they'll ask you to use some of your tools. For example, they might say, go ahead, close your eyes and ground yourself. And they'll help kind of read the energy of how you're using your tools and answer any questions that you have. Maybe you're not sure about one of the tools or you're having trouble with one. And then so you get that one-on-one time every month with a teacher, and you get to do some of that energy work. That's a really fun part of the training. And then all the classes we put into the library, so you can go back, listen to them, redo the meditations as much as you want. And then we also have a Slack channel for our community. So that's where you can share your experience, reflect, get the links to the replays, ask questions of our administrative staff, or ask us questions, and ultimately connect with each other, as a network and community, which is always really cool. And many of our students are still friends years after these trainings. And I think, Cody, we've been doing this for 12 years or 10 years. I don't know. I lost count.
It's maybe 10 years, maybe
Been
2016.
Something like that, 15. It's been a minute. Yeah. And so that is the kind of broad structure of the training. Anyone who wants to have more one-on-one sessions, all the teachers are available. You just connect with them on your own and set up a time. Some folks need more of that high touch attention. That's fine. And this, you're going to slowly bake. Every, I would say, 3 months, which is each level, you'll find yourself in kind of a new, what we might call growth period of like, whoa, this is getting crunchy, or I'm working through some heavy pain, or wow, I've really expanded my spiritual awareness in a way that I didn't think I could. And you'll definitely notice those shifts of energy as you go along if you really put in the effort and the work into this training. Anything I missed about the actual structure, Cody?
I don't think so. I think I don't think you said the times of the
Oh,
readings. Those are 2 hours long, and they're on Thursdays at 5 o'clock Pacific time and Sundays at 10 o'clock Pacific time.
those
But
start.
that starts in level 2, so that is an important part of the training. And the way that really works is that David mentioned the idea of a line or of a group of readers reading together. And the person that's kind of setting the tone and in charge is an advanced reader. So you get to sit alongside of a reader who's been doing it for a while, and will teach you how to kind of match their energy and come into that vibration. And then you really take off as a reader in that dynamic. And it's a very powerful way to teach someone how to read energy and how to look at the things we'll teach, like the aura or past lives, and we go really in depth into reading, and we have a very structured reading because the best way to learn it is to not just open up and see what arrives, but to have a really clear structure about what you're looking at. And we're also really through that gaining the ability to control our, say, clairvoyance or our seeing ability and direct it where we want. Many people are just very open as a psychic or very sensitive to energy, and they get overwhelmed in the world. So one of the things that we want to really learn about as we open up to this kind of awareness is how to control it and how to direct it and use it in a way that is both healing for ourselves and healing for anyone we might be relating with in an energy connection.
Yeah, and if you, for example, do other healing work, maybe you're a mentor, counselor, teacher, guide, coach of some kind, I think it's a great addition to, therapist. If you do any of those, I've worked with people who are parents and they incorporate these tools with their kids or with their partners, and they see, really profound effects in the shift of in their relationships and energy. I had one guy, he was a teacher at a high school, and we taught him how to ground, which is like class 1. And he came back and he was like, man, somebody flipped out on me at the school and I grounded myself. And I took it so well. The energy passed right through and I didn't snap. He's like, I would have taken this class 1,000 times for that one tool. That was insane. I was like, man, that's a good one. That's a good testimonial. So when it comes to reading, happens to almost everyone. We get pretty terrified and it could be awkward at first. You're like, all right, I'm closing my eyes and I'm going to look at a stranger through Zoom. And you hit this energy of like, can I do this? Am I making up what I see? And of course, that is going to be your initial experiences because that's how this goes. But when you start to learn how to get through that energy and trust what you see, and there's a process for that, and you get better and better and build confidence, it starts getting really fulfilling and fun. There's almost nothing more fulfilling to me than closing my eyes and seeing somebody's real essence and nature of who they are, beyond their body and their ego, and to validate them. And when they get validated, it's such a good feeling of watching somebody find, maybe for the first time in their life, feel like they've actually been seen. Like, oh my God, this person doesn't just see me for my history or my ego or whatever, but actually my spirit. And that in and of itself can be a really huge healing. And then as you progress in the training and you trade with each other, we have students that have been trading post-class, post-training for years. They still call each other and trade readings and healings, and it becomes a really amazing support network. I still trade all the time with the other teachers in the academy, and I find it's almost like a tune-up, very useful and helpful for my own energy. Cody, we can go over some more of the tools, and I'd be happy to start with one. So, for example, a lot of times when somebody's doing energy work and they're looking for an answer, whether they're doing it themselves or going to a healer or a reader, what we often notice is that so much of their energy is in the problem or the question or out into the future or stuck in the past. And we all have this assumption that we're here, I'm in my body and my energy is here. But when people have a hard time getting their answer, I've often seen it's because their energy is so far out there trying to get the answer. So one of the tools we teach is how to call your energy back from other people, from trying to get your answer, from the future, from the past. And so much of being a good reader and energy worker is calling your energy back into your body. Most people, the majority of their energy is just not present and not in their body. And when we learn to call it back, we start to really gain clarity around what we're seeing and create space. So I've always found that tool that we do in level 1 really, really profound and helpful. maybe Cody, you wanted to discuss another tool?
Yeah, and I would add to part of that tool is really learning about what it is to be in present time. So, when our energy's out in that problem or out in something we're working on creating, it's really out in the future. And we can kind of spread our energy across time. We're either caught in the past or we're kind of projecting into the future. And so part of getting centered and really kind of settled into our body and connected with the body is bringing our energy right into the moment and recognizing what that is as an experience, not just a thought or an idea. So we can kind of get in our head about some of these things, but in the training, we're really going to get into the experience of what it is to be connected with our energy and right in the moment or right in a place of being very grounded in ourselves and settled. And that's maybe one of the biggest foundational tools of what is it to really be grounded energetically speaking so that we can open up our awareness and look from maybe a different place within ourselves.
Yeah. Cody, this isn't the time to discuss this, but you did forget your orange microphone. So I just had to
I
mention.
did. Oh no.
Okay. Well,
But our colors are black and orange, so we're representing, you know.
I'll move on. Um, the only reason me and Cody are doing this training is because we want to make t-shirts eventually and have you all wear them.
And hats. I like hats.
Hats. Um, so, grounding, calling our energy back, getting into our bodies, really the foundation of level one. Some other tools like the aura, learning how to run energy, learning how to clear out the noise and the energy in our heads so that we can see more clearly. All of these things we go over in level one. And, you've probably learned some of these tools before, if you listen to some of our stuff. But when you sit in a 2-hour class, we really, drill down into one tool for a while and go deep. I've learned the same tool 1,000 times over and just gone deeper and deeper into it and a deeper level of understanding and shift of energy. So for example, if you've grounded yourself before, maybe what you'll learn is like, is there anyone else holding on to my grounding cord? Or is there anyone else grounding through me? Or is there any energy keeping me from grounding? Or is the chaos of the world ungrounding me? There's all sorts. It's just somebody throw energy at me every time I get grounded because they're envious of it. There's 1,000 dynamics to one tool that you can master over time. Well, I could be grounded in my meditation, but can I be grounded at a party? I could be grounded in the kitchen, but can I be grounded in a heated conversation or making a decision or driving or exercising? I had a friend who would ground whenever he was doing CrossFit, and he said his numbers would go up. and that's just one tool. Or can I master my empathic abilities and learn how to release the pain and energy of other people I've been holding on to? Or can I have better energetic boundaries? Can I start to really see my answers when I have a question? So as we learn each of these tools, there's so much around each one that you could spend the rest of your life mastering. So, I remember somebody came up to me and was like, you guys take this so long to teach this. Some other teacher said he would teach me the whole thing in 6 weeks. And I was like, yeah, I mean, sure, we could write down the tools and hand them to you right now. It's not about that. If you're going to become an amazing dancer, it's not like you can just because you know the moves and you've seen them doesn't mean you're good at them, or the piano or anything else in life. It's the mastering of the art form that takes the time. And doing 100 readings, grounding yourself 1,000 times, releasing energy over and over. It's the practice and the mastery of the energy and the tools that is 99% of it. It's not me telling you what the tool is. So this guy opened up a notebook and he goes, look, but this other guy taught me these tools in like a few weeks. I was like, yeah, you don't know them. They're just, in your head. And so me and Cody highly recommend you don't take notes, because that means you don't know the tool. You'll know the tool when you get it. Like if you took notes on a piano song I was teaching you, but you couldn't play it, we haven't gotten anywhere. So we don't want you in that part of your head. We want you get it when you get it and not before. So it should be you grow into the tool. And if you're forgetting something, like if we keep teaching you grounding and you keep forgetting, that's because there's probably some energy or some unconsciousness around your ability to ground. It's not that you need to remember information. People often mix that up. So we prefer you not take notes. It's a very practical experience. And we also ask, I mean, it's not a requirement, but while you're doing this training, maybe not do other spiritual trainings at the same time, or so many, because it can get very muddled, convoluted, or overwhelming. And this in and of itself is a lot. So, if you can, the more you can focus for this 1 year, the better. Yeah. At least
Yeah.
level 2 and on. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I think on that point of taking notes or approaching it in the way that we were all kind of brought up and trained, that learning is informational. So you gather the information and then you're able to kind of regurgitate it in some form on a test or something. And where energy work is different, it is much more transformational. So it's not information heavy. It's about learning a practice, kind of like an art, or a skill that we might do, kind of like dancing or the piano or martial arts, and then honing that ability or that skill through practice, and you transform yourself through the practice. So it really isn't informational. It's not about what you know or can remember. It's about what, when you go inward, what you connect with, become aware of, and then can do in that energetic sense. So you learn how to become more aware of energy, recognize your own sensitivities, and then work with that and manage your energy and expand in your energy. And you grow and take steps. And we call those steps in growth periods that we go through. So we'll go through these transformational periods where everything's kind of shifting, and then we kind of take this step and expand into new awareness. So it's kind of an ever evolving growth in expanding of awareness, or becoming more aware of both energy and how it affects ourselves, how it affects us in day-to-day life.
And I hope that some of you, if you do the training, you'll be pleasantly surprised by how psychic you are, and just learn to validate that and to grow it. I'll just share couple practical experiences I had, or not practical, but just profound. When I was a student and I was reading, I'll never forget, I was reading this woman, had never met her, and I said to her, I see, we read a rose is one of the ways we read a person. That's a symbol we use, and we'll get into that. But I said, I see like a young female spirit coming off the stem of your rose, but instead of a rose, I see a sunflower, and she looks very lively, like a daughter. And the woman doesn't say a word. Reading ends. We're upstairs in a building. That's where the school was. And then this little 6-year-old girl, 7-year-old girl runs up the stairs, comes in, and it's her daughter. And she's wearing a dress just full of sunflowers. I was like, wait, I said this to you during the session. She's like, oh my God, you're right. I didn't even put it together. And you'll have experiences like that are just very profound and psychic, that'll really validate you. There's one other one. I was doing a session on the phone. I was running like a healing clinic on the phone, never met anyone there. Guy came in, and the first thing I said was, I see you like on a DJ, doing like a DJ board, and then I see a dog by your leg. And he goes, well, I'm a DJ and I'm sitting here and my dog is sitting next to me. This was when it was before Zoom existed. And he was, it's not the point of being psychic in that way. It's the validation. It's the validation that someone feels when they're seen, and that when you as a reader are like, oh, wow, I'm really seeing something. That's interesting. A lot of people, when I tell them I do this work, I'm sure, Cody, you've had this experience. they'll tell you about a dream they had 17 years ago that came true. And I'm like, okay,
Right.
yeah, that's great. But what happened in the last 17 years? So instead of it just happening when it happens and there's nothing you can do about it, what if you could master this skill and it becomes a part of your life on a very practical level? When you leave the house, when you make decisions, when you ground a trip, it can become an everyday thing that's extraordinary, but is also kind of ordinary. And that's when I think it really makes a difference in your life that, catching that lightning in a bottle and learning how to use it is so special and validating. So, um, yeah. Okay. So we can talk forever. How about we bring in Jade for a minute?
Hi.
Hi, Jade.
I'm going to
Hi,
spotlight you here.
everybody.
Jade is one of our teachers, took our training. Jade, do you want to just share what your experience was like doing the training
Yes.
and beyond?
Yeah, first of all, I'm everything you guys spoke to. I was just like, oh, I have so many. I love how you guys speak and I love what we're talking about here. And I'm feeling really happy to be here. I'm happy that this was kind of a surprise for me today. So, um, I did the training 6 years ago. I started the training in 2020. And I also, like David, had done a lot of different trainings. I had gone deep into a lot of different practices, yoga, meditation, different forms. But what I noticed in my journey was that I would kind of come to a place where I recognized that I wasn't actually becoming more of myself. I was being sort of like indoctrinated into something else. So whenever I was like getting close in certain ways to starting to hold like space or be empowered in certain ways, I would recognize that I wasn't being encouraged to like fully embody myself, my own authentic expression, my own letting like what I saw and what I knew to be true really move through. And what I also recognized was that there were a lot of people around me that were really ungrounded. And that affected me because I recognized that I wanted to be a householder. I wanted to be somebody that was able to be on this planet. I came here to be on this planet. And when I got into the training, what I started to really, really love about it, and of course now I'm 6 years in, and I am a lifer. I'm a person that will be continuing to study these tools for the rest of my life because with every moment I come further into an understanding of my own tools, the more permission I have to be myself. The more permission I have to know myself, the more permission I have to embody myself. And that's a really unique experience. And I love that it's pretty simple in the beginning, that it's kind of like hygiene, like you brush your teeth, you wash your face, you put your grounding cord in, you run your energy. Everybody can do it. It's not like I'm special because I'm psychic and you're not special because you don't know. It's like we're all human beings in this human experience. And the human experience is so much more energetic than most of us walk around really being able to perceive through our two eyes. So when we really start to tune in with a broader awareness of reality versus like only being able to see the 1%, which we only see with our little eyes, when we start to tune in with the broader reality, we get to have a broader experience of ourself. And in that, we get to have more enjoyment and we get to see things. I now find myself in a whole like my relationships and my friendships and my clients and my students. I'm in a whole different dance with the people that I work with than I was when I began. Um, and part of that is what David was talking about recognizing that there are things that I can see like with my eyes, but it's so fun to close my eyes and look through my third eye and get a broader perspective and be able to look at people on a soul level. And sometimes I'm literally getting the opportunity to see somebody that for their entire life, all they've really craved was being able to be seen. And what a gift that is for me to be able to work my tools that not only validate me and heal me and change my life and make more space for me, but they also give somebody else the opportunity to be seen and validated for the first time, maybe ever. And if that's our whole life, like we just get to see and be seen, it's like an incredible gift. The other thing I wanted to speak to was that I now have a client that she's recovering from a lot of bad psychics. She was raised in a family that was into psychics, and there were a lot of bad players in her life where people tried to give her her destiny or give her like kind of like prescribe her what her future was. And there was a lot of pain caused in her life because of that, because she was encountering people that didn't have proper training and proper support and didn't have maybe like a North Star of how we sit with each other and how we respect each other when we sit with each other and what we say and what we see and all of that stuff. And that's where Cody and David offer something so incredibly unique, because there's such safety in using our psychic tools within this space because it's so grounded in love, respect, levity, just really like grounded in a way that I've never found in other places. So I really appreciate being able to hold that space. And what we see in the reading spaces is just incredible, and how we're able to grow with each other and how we're able to overcome performance anxiety and fear around our knowing and fear about being honest, about saying what we see and all of that stuff. It's like kindergarten. We get to play, we get to explore, and we get to do it in a way that is so safe. And that's completely changed my life. So yeah, I think that's it. Another tool that I really love is the levity part. The levity part was huge for me. Because in a lot of spiritual communities, stuff can get real serious real fast. And suddenly we're all competing with each other for how serious and still and how long our beards can get and how short our shorts can get. And like, that's not happening here. We get to play, we get to like be the messy humans that we are while also recognizing that we are more than what we think we are. Most of us are way more than what we think we are or what we were told we are. And that's a beautiful thing. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jade. That was
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah,
Thank you for sharing all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, really cool. And maybe maybe I could just add, with the safety part, uh, everything we teach and the way we have you read, we want you to do it with a lot of integrity, ethics, boundaries. And so we teach the readers what's appropriate to share, what's not appropriate to say. Like, where you're never going to be telling someone, oh, you're not going to meet your soulmate for 7 years or something like that. And the person spins out. You're gonna live in poverty forever. Thanks for coming in for a reading. We're just not doing that crap. And I really, in my experience, like 98% of this field is so much of that, of kind of poorly
Yeah.
trained or untrained, poor boundaries, out of body, bad communication, no ethics. It really ruins the whole space for everybody. And because there's no barrier of entry, there's no governing body, anyone could do it. You can make money on it quickly. It just turns into chaos. And so I think me and Cody have always found our job as part of our jobs is to make a safe place for people to come do this in the right way. And by right, I mean grounded, safe, and ethical. And then to bring that energy out into the world instead of so much of the chaos. And by the way, I had some crazy spiritual experiences with other energy workers, and before I did this training, and a lot of students do, and it's almost good in a way because then you know what you don't want, and you know the chaos out there, and maybe you've had a traumatic experience in this space, and this could be very healing from that. So, like I always tell this story. My one friend, some psychic, told her you're not going to meet any partner for 5 years, and she wanted to have a baby within like a year, and she spun out crying and just tripping. And I said, that is just not true. It's not true. Don't listen. Don't ever listen to somebody who's going to program your future. And so she let that go, met someone within a year, and had 3 babies. But if I wasn't there to, maybe say, hey, let's back off that communication, who knows how hard she would have spun out, and maybe might have met the guy and then avoided him because I can't have this for 5 years. So there's a whole
Yeah,
structure.
it's not the right guy.
Not the right guy. Yeah.
Right. So there's a lot of self-fulfilling prophecies that can happen when you get sold a picture like that. And I think
Yeah.
we really kind of teach a reader how to recognize what is just a picture. So a person might be caught in an idea or a picture, and we learn how to see past that. And a lot of times these readers that haven't been trained, they're just reading the picture the person's stuck in. So they're telling them, oh yeah, you're not going to find anyone. And then they project that out, say in 5 years. The person's sitting in an invalidation picture that there's nobody out there for me. I can't find anyone. And we teach you how to read beyond that to really see who the person is. But also in learning the tools, we learn how to get out of those kinds of what we would call pictures that we can get stuck in, or energies that we can get stuck in, so that we can be free to create the life we want to create. That's pretty much the whole goal, is to really become the creator that we are.
And another way to put that might be the amount someone is identified with a picture, or a belief turns into an image. Let's say in the psychic realm, we might see a belief as an image, or part of someone's ego identity as an image. The more a person is identified with that, the more likely that's going to be the outcome. And so our job is to read past those pictures, validate who the person really is, and help them let go of them. Whereas a poorly trained reader will, as Cody was saying, will just read the picture and validate the picture. So if I believe I'm a piece of crap who's got nothing to gain in life, and as someone is untrained, they'll read that picture in my aura and just validate that. And then that's the ball game. Instead of seeing the soul who's on this planet to get through that energy and show them how to get through it. That's where the majority of the work is. I see you're stuck in this picture. I see who you really are. And let me show you how to get through that energy so you can create, because no one's destiny is set. Yeah, I could read someone's future if someone has 100% identity with the picture, then it's very likely that will be the outcome. And I could read that in a person and even add that validation to that picture. But that would be a real disservice to that human being. And so a bad psychic will do that because they don't know any better, versus a good one going, let me talk to your higher self, the part of you that's out of the body, not the ego, and see what's best for you and what your next step is. And so if someone's going, I'm not going to meet someone, I'm never going to meet someone, just as the example we're working with, and that's the picture. Well, I might ask their higher self, is that true? What's the energy and what's the next step here to work through that? I might not give them the ultimate answer, like you are going to meet someone in 10 minutes. It might be more like, okay, I see the invalidation, I see the stuckness. Now we can work through that energy together. And that's a much healthier way to go about it than just reading somebody's pictures. And so we go deep into that in levels 2 through 4 as we start to read. Thank you, Jade, so much for sharing all of that.
Thank you, Jade.
My pleasure. I just wanted to add something that the set point to that I really love that we set in reading space, and also we learn as readers within the school, is that people are invited to come in, and they're always invited to take what resonates with them and leave what doesn't. And that set point is such a refreshing set point because it naturally instills trust in the people that are coming, that we already trust their wisdom. We're not here to dominate their wisdom. We're here to support what they already know about themselves, but also encourage their growth as well. And so, yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks,
So
Jade.
Thank you.
lovely.
And
Thanks, Jade.
you'll see Jade in the training. She'll give you energy checks. She'll teach some of your practicums and reading spaces, so you'll get to interact with her plenty. Yeah. Thank you, Jade. Thank you. So I know, I mean, we could probably talk about this for hours. Let me see. What time are the Thursday practicums? 12 to 1 Pacific time. That would make 3 to 4 Eastern time. Yeah, those are the practicum times. Level 2 and beyond, the reading spaces in level 2 and up are at 5 p.m. Pacific Thursdays, and then Cody 9 or 10 a.m. Sundays.
10 a.m. Pacific Sundays.
In level 2 and beyond. Yeah. Okay, cool. We want to leave time for questions.
Not that we're there yet, but in level 2, you don't have to go to all of those reading spaces. We have multiple reading spaces, so to accommodate different people's schedules.
You go to one.
Yeah.
You can go to one a week.
Go to one a week. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can go to all of them if you want, but
if you're in the UK,
the program's set for one. Yeah.
Yeah. The UK folks, the European folks, the 5 p.m. Thursdays would be too late unless you're a night owl. Yeah. Okay. Let's open it up for questions. You can ask them verbally. You can unmute if you want to, or you can type them into the chat. So any and all questions. Please repeat the Tuesday class time. Yeah, 12 Pacific to 2 p.m. Pacific Tuesdays. That'll be the whole year training on Tuesdays. So that's 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern time. Europe, it changes 7 to 8 hour, 8 or 9 hour difference, depending on the time of the year, or 7 to 8. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yes. 12 to 2 Tuesdays. Thank you, Jade, for writing it down. Okay. Any and all other questions while we're here? Feel free to raise your hands, ask verbally. And the level 1, no readings, just practicums, are Thursdays 12 to 1 Pacific time. Level 1 is a 1 hour practicum where you go in with another teacher like Jade or Kale or Marjorie or Lisa Polinsky,
Andrea
or Jason Seiler, all of our teachers, and they'll go over what we went over in class and practice the tools with you again. So that's what we do in the practicums. Okay, let's see. So it seems like level 1 and then 2, 3, and 4, a big separation. Yes, the reason for that is because levels 2 through 4, I might have to mute some folks just for a minute. Levels 2 through 4 is when we start to do readings. Level 1 is where we're learning all the tools. And then level 2 through 4 is when we're putting you in rooms in class and you start to read each other and then go into reading spaces and practice readings. So I would say some folks don't get out of level 1 the first time around. They don't feel ready or they're afraid to read. So I do think there's a bit of a partition there. We want everyone to go on to level 2 and on, but there is a little bit of a partition there in that sense. Some people just want to learn the tools and they don't want to read, and that's totally fine. Yeah. I was wondering if it's possible to go in for level 1 only. Yes, absolutely. So that's what I was just saying. Yeah. And you know what? Maybe you do level 1 and then you're like, you know what? Let me do a little bit more of this. Some people do level 1 and 2 and then they'll stop, and that's also okay. Feel like you can't do the whole thing yet. Yeah. Yeah. And then beyond levels 1 through 4, we have an advanced intuitive training for those who already graduated the year and they want to keep going, go deeper. The reading space, by the way, stays open forever for everyone. So it's not expensive. You can just, after you graduate, you can keep coming to the reading spaces once or twice a week and keep reading. As a student, I did that for years, even after I graduated. So the reading space we have now going, we have graduates in there. They come in every week and they practice. And you'll be able to do that as well if you decide you want to. Yeah. Do you get better t-shirts when you move up each level? I think we can, one of the ways we can also divide this up is for me, and Cody, tell me if you see this differently. Level 1 and 2 is kind of beginner intuitive training. In a way, level 2, 3 and 4 is more advanced. Maybe the growth periods get bigger. The energy gets more intense. We start working through deeper layers of pain. And so I wouldn't just partition it
Yeah,
level 1 and then 2, 3, and 4. It might actually, for me, sometimes be 1 and 2 and then 3 and 4.
that's how I would think of it. And in level 3 and 4, we learn we're learning tools all along the way, but we learned some pretty powerful tools in level 3 and 4 that you have to get ready for. You have to get the foundation for first. So I would partition it the same way.
One of the keys to being a good reader, probably the biggest thing of all, is working through your own pain. So it's hard to read another human being if you're projecting your own pain onto them, or if you can't see past your own pain, or sometimes we'll say unconsciousness. Just like I close my eyes, I can't see. And the reason might be you have your own energy, confusion, fear, pain, anxiety that's bubbling up to the surface. And so through the training, we learn to work through that. It's almost like cleaning the windshield of the car so we can see out in front more clearly. So whenever someone's having a hard time seeing, it's almost always tethered to some form of energy or pain in their own space. And that's what most of the training is learning how to heal yourself and work through that so that you can see other beings neutrally. And you're learning how to communicate kind of on a spirit to spirit level more than just human being speaking to another human being. And so not only do you learn how to kind of communicate with other human beings, maybe in a way you learn how to communicate with all other beings, right? Animal beings, tree beings, any beings in the universe, in the galaxy and beyond, maybe beings in your dreams. And so in a way you're learning how to communicate being to being. Doesn't matter if it's a human or what form it takes. And I also find that very cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and when we talk about pain, we of course mean psychic pain, and that what we're calling psychic pain might take a number of forms. Like we use the word sometimes invalidation. So like the feeling that I'm not good enough, that is a level of psychic pain. There is some kind of a picture or an image or an idea there where you got invalidated. And so we're learning how to get out of those kinds of energies and see past them to be able to rediscover our own energy, because that vibration really isn't your energy. That isn't you being you. That's you being the effect of some other energy. So that's one real simple example, just that kind of feeling or that kind of idea that many of us may have is a level of psychic pain that you can become free of, that you can release. It's not a truth of who
Um,
you are.
yeah, just two questions. Somebody's saying, can I just sign up for level 1 and 2? Yeah, you could do that. Just email us, or you could just sign up for level 1. That's on the website, and then sign up for level 2 after. And then the other
Great.
question, what do students find the most challenging or rewarding from level 1? I think it's what Cody just said, which is learning to tell the difference between your energy and the rest of the world's energy. I think that's the biggest
Yeah.
thing. Yeah. What you mentioned earlier was my experience during level 1 with intention of learning only that, but now interested in going further. Awesome. Is it advisable to redo the first level again before doing the next ones? It depends how long ago you took level 1. If it was last year, you might be okay. If it was beyond that, maybe take it again. And it's all
Yeah, can I add to that though? I have a thought that we do go through it as a group. So there's an energy in the group and a connection that you have. So if you can jump into level 1, if you want to do the whole year, it would be great to become a part of that group right in the beginning and be a part of that energy. It would really support you.
That was
So
my
you don't
question.
have to, you
Yeah.
have the tools, but it would really support you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Liz.
That was, yes, it was 2021 or something when we did
Oh,
it
that's a
last.
while. That's a long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, I would jump back in at the beginning. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Liz. Good to see you.
And you can always learn more about each tool. Like I want to come to level 1 because I'm excited. Like I just always want to know more about a tool. So even if you've learned a tool, getting the experiential of being able to really be with it and be guided with it and have the group around you as you're learning it even deeper, is really an incredible experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jade.
Mhm.
Someone was asking how big the groups are typically. It really varies. 20, 30, 50. We've had years where it was 80. So somewhere in that range. Um, Me and Cody didn't do any marketing this time around, so maybe I don't know, 20,
We
30,
didn't.
40, somewhere in that range it'll probably be. Yeah. I think I called Cody 2 weeks ago. Hey, we're supposed to tell people we're teaching the intuitive training.
We've been busy.
We've been busy. I'm going to be honest, if I just sat and taught on Insight Timer and did nothing else, I would make more money, but I would be less fulfilled. And I just find that this training is so valuable. But out of every 1,000 students, maybe one can do this training. It just to like really get through this much energy and do the work. I'm just going to mute some people just for some background noise for a minute. And so, you know, there's just something to do this much energy work, to go through this much pain, to grow this much this quickly. I think most people are not interested in the level of discomfort and effort and commitment that it takes. And so, instead of I teach some classes that'll have 500 people in them or 1,000. And this kind of training, you don't get that because people are like, how much work do you want me to do? How much effort, how much pain am I supposed to work through? Especially now, I think in the past, there was less available and people were like, oh, well, yes, give it to me. And now it's like, oh, I could take 10 online courses at any given moment and put in minimal effort. And so the energy's gotten a little bit diffused. I think it makes this training that much more important and powerful. And so I've always seen it as just part of my mission as a teacher to get anyone that's capable and ready to do this work the tools, because the level of impact that you can have on the world in an energetic way is so profound. And so that's why me and
That
along.
yeah, that's funny. You just when you mention, especially now, that really makes me think about, we're so distracted in the world and things grabbing at our attention. If one of the things that happens in this training is you really learn how to get back kind of seniority and control over your own attention. You gain control over your attention. And that's an interesting thought, but now that's a much bigger thing now than when I started in the 80s. That wasn't an issue. Yeah.
That's right. So, we're at time. Let's see. I've done a lot of trainings too, but after taking a class with you and the Shift Network, I feel like finally have found the real thing. Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you, Marie. Thank you. Yeah, and even the Shift. I told the Shift, hey, I'll do the year-long training with you guys, and so we'll see at some point. Maybe we'll do that with them. Okay, Cody, we're at time. So anyone, if you have any other questions, email us, let us know. We start this time next week, Tuesday, March 31st, 12 to 2 Pacific, 3 to 5 Eastern, and then Europe, whenever that is, Asia. Happy to have you all in there. Let us know if there's anything else. And it's going to be a really fun year of doing this work, not just with me and Cody, but with Jade, with all the other Energy Matter teachers who have as much experience as I do or more, and who are really fun to play with and learn from. And just the diversity of all the teachers and their experience is really cool as well. So it takes a village to get someone trained up in the intuitive arts. So, and we'll do our best to do an in-person retreat before this training is over, so that we can all get together and do this work in person, probably in Boulder next year. So we're working on that. We're going to launch this training first, and then we'll think about that. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Cody. Thanks for being on the call, everyone. Really appreciate your questions and your enthusiasm, and hopefully we'll see you next week. All right, y'all. Bye. I'll unmute it.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Jade.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Cody.
Jade.
Thank
Bye,
you, David.
everyone.
Good to